extremely obsessed with the fires that's going on in the Los Angeles area. And one thing I've been wondering this entire time, well, first and foremost, my condolences to everybody who have lost their lives. They've been basically uprooted, lost everything in the fire. Their whole livelihood has been destroyed. It's nothing that, I can imagine that could be any worse, even if, you are in a situation that you're alive and you're breathing and you're in a safe space. I still can't imagine losing everything that you had due to these wildfires or any other tragedy. It's absolutely horrible. But I've been really fascinated about this. I cannot stop watching the live streams on YouTube. I've been on it ever since the past, 2 or 3 days. I just can't stop watching it. And I've been thinking it from a gamer's perspective, like, what if you're that guy? And I know, this is going to be kind of weird because, like I just said, there's nothing that, can replace life. And there's some valuable things that cannot be replaced, like pictures and other type of memories that you hold on to from your, your lineage, your family lineage. But like your gaming collection. Yeah, some of that stuff can be replaced. I don't think all of it can, but most of it, pretty much 98% of it probably can be replaced in some form of fashion. But like you losing all of your games, I think that will be absolutely, crazy. Once everything falls off and everything gets, back in order by somehow you get your house back, you get all these other things back together and you're good to go to live your life. You have to pick up the pieces and try to find some type of recreation to, get away from it all because it's going to be a stressful time. Even people who are in a safe space, they just don't have that comfort that they used to have with their hobby. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of guys who are gamers or females, that are gamers that probably lost everything, on top of, your gaming stuff, which does seem kind of a little frivolous, but, a lot of people don't realize that stuff is, a getaway from, life, stuff like this that happens, things like this that goes on where it's like, man, I've been stressed out all day. I've been working all day. I've been dealing with this. I've been dealing with that. I just want to fall back and just give me, a good 20 minutes to an hour to just play this game and get away from it all. It's very unfortunate that a lot of these people don't have that mechanism right now, and they're just going through purity hell right now. I just can't imagine just going through that. I did a video a while back when I was talking about Hurricane Helene. What would I do if everything was destroyed, like, like all my gaming stuff? What would I do? And I said myself, I would probably just end up, probably buying like one of those high powered handhelds or just buying a PC and just emulate everything. There's no way I would go back in and try to replace all of this stuff. And it's just, absolutely horrible to go through that. Some people may not even just go and, go back to gaming after this. It's very tragic at the end of the day. You have people who, like I said, I think now is almost 20 people, it's close to 20, I think it's like 16 people that possibly lost their lives at the time of this recording. So many acres of land that's been burnt, thousands, tens of thousands. And I mean, I know it's a lot of houses and building structures that are just, are gone now. So I don't even know, what do you do? What do you do? And like I said, and I know you can say this all day long, like this stuff doesn't matter. And it doesn't. It really don't. To an extent, it really don't matter. You got to get out of there. You got to walk away with your life intact, and all this material stuff you can replace, but there's just some things that can't be replaced. And most of the stuff is not even gaming related, but the people who are, somebody like me who does put some type of value in bringing all of this stuff along as far as your collection, being a connoisseur and actually wanting to game and have this collection, and is kind of like your sentimental value, your sentimental valuables, and you lose all of this stuff. And it's like, where do you go from there? It's kind of crazy. And I mean, I just wouldn't know. I mean, first and foremost, you really got to get your house in order, probably trying to get your house together. If you have insurance, that's awesome. And that makes me think a little bit, which I'll probably go into detail sometime down the road, as far as actually having insurance on your games. That's something I never really thought about at one point until Hurricane Helene. Is that something I would want to do? Like put insurance on all of this stuff? Is it something that I feel like maybe be worth doing? I mean, I don't know. Cause I just don't look, I look at this stuff as something to, have fun with, be a hobby. It's not the end of the world if I lose this stuff, but I always think like, would it be a good look to actually try that, do that, put your stuff in some form of insurance just to cover yourself. Cause there's a lot of time and money and patience that you put into not just collecting games, but any type of collection. I mean, do you put, any insurance on that stuff? I mean, I'm pretty sure some investors that are actual investors do that. And it's probably at the end of the day, probably a smart thing to do. But I mean, I don't know. I just never thought about it. This is the second time I really looked at looked at this situation from this perspective where I'm actually looking at these games, or looking at these disasters. Like I said, it was Hurricane Helene first, and that was really close because I live in Georgia, and that hurricane basically came up through the Gulf Coast, and we were hit by it, but nothing crazy happened. So it kind of made me think about it at once. And then next thing you know, some months later, you got these LA wildfires, and it's like, man, it's like, what do you do when everything that you have has been uprooted and you have to essentially start over on everything, let alone these games, but just your entire life? Like one thing about even with Hurricane Helene is slightly, I don't know the whole ins and outs of the insurance system, but mostly the insurance is more likely to cover these hurricane situations, unlike the fire stuff. Because I mean, fires usually they look at fires some more of a arson type of man-made type of thing. They do happen naturally, but they don't really look at it like that's why a lot of people insurance have been dropped over there, because it happens so often. They don't know to determine, the natural side of things, to arson, this type of thing. But that's a whole different story I don't want to go down. But normally with natural disasters, insurance companies usually cover that stuff. And I've seen a lot of people bounce back a lot easier from those type of natural disasters compared to the fires. One, I've seen families lose everything in a house fire, and for them to pick up the pieces is like absolutely, devastating for them to go through that. When you lose stuff in a hurricane, stuff get knocked down, some things get damaged, but outside of like, if it's not flooding and nothing crazy going on, a lot of your materials that don't blow away, they may get damaged, but you can salvage some of that stuff. When stuff get burned, that's a wrap. It's over with. Like I'm thinking, like, just to be joking or whatever a little bit, it might have a little bit of truth to this. If a hurricane comes through here, some of my retro consoles will probably survive, because some of these consoles are built like tanks. But then again, you have some of these newer consoles that, hell, you can't keep them on long enough, and they damn near clunk out on you. So, it's just stuff like that you think about, right? So, I mean, I don't know. It's just, at the end of the day, I look at the whole situation and I just wanted to think about it, because I don't think nobody really talks about it, because it is a sensitive topic. And I don't want to come off as insensitive just thinking about, video games and losing your games and losing your collection. Like I said from the beginning, my condolences to the families who lost loved ones and, lost everything that they had. This gaming stuff it's not even secondary. It's like beyond, secondary. It's like so far on the totem pole, it's not much you can think about. But there are people out there, I'm almost certain that it is. There are people out there that actually have situations where they are devastated, that they've put so much time and effort into a collection, and now it's probably gone. And it's probably not even just a video game collection. Some people probably lost baseball cards. Some people probably lost like, postage stamps or, any other type of collectible. It's really disheartening when it's, on the scheme of things, it doesn't really compare to, all the other things you may have, because everything is material. You can pretty much get it back in some form of fashion, but just to go through this process has got to be devastating. And I just can't imagine. It's something that you really, think about sometimes and be like, wow, that's crazy. Right. But I don't know. I just wanted to give my 2 cents about that, because I always think about stuff like that when it comes to collecting stuff and losing everything. What do you do? How do you bounce back? Will you bounce back? Because I'm at the point now. I've been doing this for 20 years, 20 plus years. And if I lose all this stuff, I'll just build a computer or get like one of those sophisticated handhelds and just emulate everything. There's no way I will go back and go get all of this stuff back. Maybe one modern console and one retro console at the most, but I won't go through this again. This is just a one-shot deal for me, and it's been successful. Hopefully it stays this way. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. No wildfires, no natural disasters, fingers crossed and pray to the good man above or the good Lord above. Hopefully none of that happens. But I'm going to get up out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Weekday starts, and we'll talk then. All right, I'm out. Peace.